welcome to a new episode of A Lost Cause. I'm Shawna.
I'm Annie.
And Merry Christmas to everybody. We just had Christmas a few days ago. I hope everybody's having a great holiday. How was your Christmas, Annie?
It was good. What about yours?
We had the same Christmas.
Well, yeah. So.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty good times, good food.
All right. So, today we are doing some fun characters. Radzinsky and Phil from the wonderful Dharma Initiative.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was kind of the trajectory of me becoming, obsessed with.
Had a very strong impact on
with
Annie.
The 70s, and so, yeah.
So they definitely deserve their own episode.
Definitely.
We've already talked about Horace, Roger, as members of the Dharma Initiative, but then as the show goes on, we get to meet more characters, including Stuart Radzinsky and Phil. We learn his last name?
No.
We don't know his last name, but he gets to be included in the episode nonetheless. So let's start with Phil.
Yes.
Some of you might not even know who Phil is.
That's because we're just too niche.
We are too niche and too late. That's kind of our motto in life. But probably if you describe Phil, people will remember
yes,
who
so
he is.
just who he is or what he looks like.
Well,
what are we describing here?
Yeah, describe what he looks like, because he's very distinctive looking.
Yes, he has a very distinctive nose. Very sharp.
Okay.
He's got really dark eyes actually. Yeah. Kind of has the Richard eyeliner thing going on.
Oh, you think? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Mhm. And then very short black hair.
Yeah, so very black hair, very thick eyebrows.
Yeah.
Black eyebrows. And he is one of the members of the security team for the Dharma Initiative.
Mm-hmm. He's actually one of the first, kind of prominent characters we meet in season 5.
Right.
With the...
He's often... I don't know what it's called. It's sort of the surveillance room where they have kind of all the cameras of all the different grids and places.
I think it's the security station.
Because it's where the holding cell is too, right? Mm-hmm. Where Saeed ends up being put. So at first, Phil seems like he's kind of a nice guy. He's friendly, eager to please, wants to be on Sawyer's good side. But we get little clues along the way that...
But he's just a weirdo.
Yeah, he's kind of weird, and he might be a little bit nasty too. That's probably why he wanted to work security.
That's accurate, I think.
We get our first kind of clue of that when, Jack, Kate, Hurley, Saeed all, travel back to the 70s. And so Kate and Jack and Hurley are kind of part of the welcoming for the Dharma new recruits. And of course, they've got to alter the manifest, right? Mm-hmm. Because supposedly they came in on the sub. And so then there's this really tense scene where Phil is asking Kate, and what's your name? And, he's looking for it on the list. It's not there. And it seems like he's
already suspicious.
And not just suspicious, but sort of really wants to catch somebody, and is almost hoping that this is...
He's got a weird problem.
Yeah, so there's just a vibe there, and then thankfully Juliet intervenes and is
yes, thank goodness for
here's
Juliet.
the new list, and her name's on the list, and it's all good. But it's almost we get the sense that Phil is looking for someone to punish. Mm-hmm. So the actor who plays Phil, Patrick Fischler, is that? So I had recognized him from Mad Men. He had kind of a memorable arc. He was a stand-up comedian that was really, again, sort of nasty personality, so a little bit of typecasting there. And then he does kind of stand out in Lost as well, because over time, Phil becomes a bit of a problem, there's that security
Pretty
tape.
much everybody does.
Yeah. Because they want to explain about the security tape.
So, we all know what happened, okay?
What happened.
Young Ben got shot, and he's actively dying, and so really the only thing that they can do to try to save this kid is bring him to the hostels, but that is like big no-no apparently. And so thankfully Sawyer's allowed to like orchestrate this in a way that he won't get in trouble because he is head of security. But Jin didn't, like, Jin was supposed, no, not
Miles.
Jin, Miles. Where's Jin? Anyways, Miles was supposed to kind of erase the tape.
Or take the
tape out, but he didn't. And he just left it, like, kind of in the, whatever it's called, like the...
well, I guess it's a VCR, kind of.
But he just left it there.
Well, because he was interrupted, right?
And then Phil gets suspicious. Like, he has a definite problem.
Yes. Again, he's looking
No, he's not the one to blame, like, someone for shooting Ben. But no. He does figure it out because...
He looks at the tape.
He looks at the tape and then, you know, confronts Sawyer about it. Rightfully so. I mean, like...
I don't know, though. Like, because Sawyer is head of security. So, I mean, instead of confronting him with it, like, he could have just asked him about it or sort of been like, hey, like, I know about this tape, but I'm not gonna...
Well, that's kind of what he was doing. He was like, you better have a good reason, right?
Yeah.
Which he didn't. He just knocked Phil out and tied him up. So, you know, like, it is fair that Phil is upset. It does... It's not a good look.
It's just, like, too bad how quickly things spin out of control, right? That it's sort of like, okay, so now they've got someone, like, tied up in the closet.
But that's the lost way.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well,
you shoot one kid and everything...
Well, it's just really unfortunate timing about that security tape because, like, Miles has just got it ejected and ready to go. But then right at that moment, Horace comes in. And I think this,
and
this
his
is
stupid, like, low pony.
yeah. And this is where, like, Horace gives Miles the opportunity to become part of the Circle of Trust. And
so
like,
iconic.
Gives him this very important assignment. Although I don't know why Miles couldn't have just grabbed the security tape on his way out. Like, I guess
because that's suspicious.
Because Horace was watching, but really, like, there's very serious consequences to that tape because then, so Phil is, like, in the closet. Juliet and Sawyer are just kind of, you know, trying to make, like, everything's fine.
And then, is it Radzinsky who comes in? I think it is. I think it's Radzinsky who comes in, like, marches over, hears something from the closet.
Yeah.
And then, like, yeah, it's Phil tied up.
And, like, bleeding.
Yes. And so, obviously, then those two, they tie up Julia and Sawyer and are like, what's going on? What are you doing? And
but here's why everybody hates Phil. Like, and why we end up, you know, hating Phil. What does he do?
He, like, hits Juliet.
And why? Like, how does this come about?
To get Sawyer to answer the question.
Right, because Sawyer's not scared of being tortured himself, right? They can beat up Sawyer all day long. He's not going to crack. But the sight of Juliet getting hit, yeah. And I mean, so Phil, like, it's pretty smart because that is how to get Sawyer to talk.
But it's so inhumane.
But it's so terrible.
That, like,
and it's so, like...
You don't really come back from that.
No, he can't come back from that. And it really just is shocking because this is supposed to be this community of, like, peace and love. And yet it's so inaccurate. But, I mean, that's probably where we would be if we were living in the 70s. Well, you know, like, next thing you know, there's a meeting of, like, show of hands to, like, kill Saeed.
Like, just, like, always resorting to gun violence, which is, like, completely the opposite of what everybody was for in those days, but...
So that's what I mean about Phil, right? He's always kind of looking for a fight. So a very memorable character in that sense, because it starts off as just sort of like, oh, who's this guy? What's his deal? But then he quickly becomes, like, I don't know, kind of a real enemy, and we want to see him be punished for what he does to Juliet. And we do get to see that.
Yes, because he does die.
So how does Phil die?
Well, so remember when the incident started, it's that sort of magnet thing where all these metallic objects are being brought into this hole.
Yeah.
And so it's just dragging all these, like, sharp objects, the cars.
And all at once. With
Yes.
Like, a lot of force.
And so there were these, like, strategically placed spears just laying around that,
metal poles,
that
I guess.
pierce Phil right in the chest.
He gets impaled. Yeah.
Which is, in my opinion, one of the worst.
It's a really bad death, but it's funny how Lost, like, for certain deaths, it's almost like the show makes you cheer for it, like, and so then there's actually a sense of satisfaction. I mean, the prime example being Arts, right? Like,
yep.
You know, I think we're all pretty ready to see him get blown.
And I think I said it, too. Yeah. I hope he explodes, and then he did.
So sure enough, I didn't have to worry about Annie being traumatized.
But like, Alana was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, that...
Hey, we still have to talk about Alana.
Oh, yeah, we didn't do them yet. Yeah. We're just kind of trying to figure out how many more episodes we have in the podcast. As we mentioned, we're sort of down to the final few. So, you know, it's a difficult process to really decide who gets their own episode, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when we talk about these characters so much along the way. But we haven't talked much about Phil, other than to sort of use as an example that pretty slim pickings for eligible bachelors in Dharmaville. And we always mention, you know, you've got Phil, you've got Radzinsky. So that's kind of why we've paired them in this episode today. Maybe that's what it should be called. You know,
I mean, like there's got to be something good about them. You know, like, Pierre Chang is a great dad, but I don't think there's anything about them. Radzinsky's too in love with the swan.
Yeah.
Phil is too, like, I just think of Phil as just, like, he sort of seems like he's just trying to, like, please Sawyer.
Yes.
And, like, be enough or something.
But then he's very quick to turn on him.
That's a good point, actually.
So maybe this episode should be called, like, The Bachelor, like, Dharma edition.
That's so stupid, but maybe. Maybe.
So, sad end for Phil, and no Sideways Phil.
No Sideways Phil.
Which we feel is a bit of maybe an indication that there's, like, no redemption for that character, because often it seems like, you know, the Sideways is almost a type of purgatory for these characters to redeem themselves or get a second chance. But, sorry, Phil. No dice.
Mm-mm.
And yet, even though you might really dislike Phil, I have to say that the actor did a great job on the Getting Lost documentary.
Yes.
And it turns out, like, he is a total fan.
Yeah, which is, I always love hearing that stuff, that, like, they're a fan before they join the show.
Yeah.
So
this was a really exciting opportunity for him to be on the show, and
it's, like, a good character if you're a fan.
Oh, sure. And, I mean, if you're the kind of guy that you're good at sort of playing the bad guy that nobody likes, you know, perfect. And what I really appreciate about his contribution to Getting Lost is, like, he's such a staunch defender of the show,
mm-hmm.
and, like, defends, you know, the finale, sort of expresses frustration that, like, people don't even understand the ending. So,
he is in that weird bar.
Yeah.
Like the canoe bar.
The canoe bar.
When we were watching it for the first time, we were just, like, trying to figure out, like, where is he? What's going on?
But isn't it the same place where Sterling Bowman
It is.
Yeah.
So my theory is it's a bar. It looks like a bar.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a pub.
It's got, like, weird canoes and stuff. So that's my theory.
Yeah, and my theory is that, because we've often talked about, like, why isn't there more Sterling Bowman on the documentary? Like, he's on the screen less than a minute. But obviously,
not even, like, 30 seconds.
But obviously it was, like, a full sit-down interview. And he and Phil were, like, interviewed on the same place, right? The same location. So, like, maybe the producers just felt like, wow, like, Phil's interview is much, much better than young Ben. And so they gave him more screen time. But
it was a great interview. He had great things to say.
Yeah.
So. And
really made me appreciate him more, I guess, just because you kind of do really just hate Phil in that moment of seeing Juliet get hit, and then she's, like, bleeding, and then there's even a suggestion, like, she might be pregnant at the time too.
And then but something that's interesting is Radzinsky is like, whoa, he's really like, that was too far.
So yeah, like even Radzinsky sort of feels like, hey, let's put on the brakes here. So that tells you've really crossed some kind of line. If Radzinsky is uncomfortable
with torture,
yes,
or like violence, which seems to be his favorite thing.
Yes. So this is probably a nice time to kind of segue into our next character, which is Radzinsky, and we want to allow a lot of time to talk about Radzinsky. I feel like we could fill at least a whole episode because he's become a very central character for Annie and I. And if we were to do a search of our, text messages, just like keyword search Radzinsky, like probably a lot would come up. So speaking of text messages, let's do a quick shout out.
Yes, indeed. So I got a new phone, my new phone. And my favorite thing is that it's got like, you can change the screen.
There you go.
And it's great. And then the case is cool too.
So that is an iPhone 17. A little bit of a plug there.
Yes. It's a great update from my great upgrade from my iPhone 6. If you are like thinking, oh, my phone's okay though, if it's lower than 10, I say update it because like.
Well, what was the moment that we kind of knew? Okay.
That I didn't get my Spotify Wrapped. Come on. Done I'm wanting break. So we got it dealt with. And surprisingly enough, like I thought that it wouldn't show me my Spotify Wrapped because it's just too late.
Yeah.
But it did. So.
Yeah. So all is well.
All is well.
Yeah.
It's all peaceful now.
Mm-hmm. So that's a happy present.
Yes, happy present.
But now let's talk about someone who's never happy. Radzinsky.
No. Yep.
Stuart Radzinsky.
Stuart Radzinsky is an icon.
Yeah, a legend.
Mm-hmm.
He really is a legend on the show.
Oh, yes.
We hear about him. We hear his name.
Season 2.
Yeah, like long before we even really know who he is.
Yeah.
So when is the first kind of mention of Radzinsky?
So, it's Calvin, that guy in the hatch who helps Desmond or whatever.
Remember Desmond's
he says
partner in the hatch?
His old partner had been this man named Radzinsky, and he committed suicide, shot himself in the mouth, and now there's like a stain on the roof.
And that comes out over time, like because Calvin's always quoting this Radzinsky. Oh, Radzinsky always said, or Radzinsky, did this. And then I think Desmond at one point is just like, so where is he? And then he like sadly points to this spot.
Which is really interesting because it doesn't really, the Radzinsky we know.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
and like, yeah. And at the time, like we don't care because we don't know who this is. But then we get introduced to the real Radzinsky. So who is Stuart Radzinsky?
He's, I don't really know what his job is, but
we think
he works in the Flame.
He works in the Flame, which
he's working on the Swan model where they're going to build it. And he does seem to be, like, pretty in charge at the, like, mining station, too.
So he's probably some sort of science background, but he is kind of monitoring the communications station, the Flame.
Mm-hmm.
And right away, like, there's just things about Radzinsky that appeal to me. The first one being just the decor at the Flame. Like, everyone else is living in the barracks.
I like the barracks.
Yeah, it's its own community. There's, like, all these paintings of the island in every house. But Radzinsky has kind of his own setup, and I just think the Flame is really cool. Like,
she's obsessed with the Flame.
Well, and I like to look at the art he's got on the walls. He's got a record collection. Obviously, he's a bit of a recluse. Like, it doesn't play...
Oh, that was my thumb.
Doesn't play well with others because he, is kind of segregated from the rest of them out at the Flame.
But he's, keyword, irritated.
Yeah, irritated.
Frustrated.
Disenchanted, like always.
Obsessive.
Obsessive about
like, everything, really. Because Jin comes in and starts, like, trying to do stuff on the computer or whatever. He's like, get off! Like, what are you doing? And then, really, the Swan model.
Yeah.
Which is, like, you can change it, too. It's not a big deal.
But very territorial and paranoid.
Also, shout out, he was watching the Muppets.
Yeah, he is watching the Muppets at one point. So, sounds like a great guy, right? And yet, Annie frequently calls me Radzinsky Shawna.
Okay, well,
so,
she's obsessed with his house.
I mean,
She, you know, you're like...
To be fair, I believe it was on an early episode of our podcast, and I forget, like, maybe you were saying I'm like Rousseau, perhaps, and I said, actually, if I'm anybody, it's probably Radzinsky.
And I didn't, like...
And she
back or
didn't argue
something.
with me. Just because Radzinsky, like me, is always aggrieved about something.
Yes, you get frustrated about things, and
maybe
and
overreact a
you
bit.
kind of, like, sometimes you're being a little bit of Radzinsky. Like, when we're driving, and you're like, oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong lane, or whatever, which happens way more than you'd expect it to. Like,
It's one of my most frequent,
quotes.
for
I
sure.
have a whole list of quotes.
Yeah. And
Do
some
I
of them
have a Radzinsky?
come
list?
from driving, I think I'm in the wrong lane. I'm sorry, everybody.
That's one. No, I don't.
But really, like, Annie has her moments of being a bit of a Radzinsky as well.
No.
So, yes. Like, a little bit overdramatic at times.
Okay, but, like, Radzinsky is not the most overdramatic character, I don't think.
No, but you've got to admire his passion for the Swan. And this is where a lot of it kind of goes wrong, because, like, he's just convinced that everyone is a spy and that everybody wants,
Like, wants the information on the Swan.
Yeah. And, like, what is so special about the Swan anyway?
Well, it is kind of responsible for keeping the world not...
But only after the
Well,
incident,
actually, that's
right?
true.
Like, what was the point of the Swan before the incident?
Radzinsky only knows.
So that's actually an interesting thought.
Another thing to mention is that in the Swan, there's, like, a painting. There's a painting of the Joshua tree,
Yes.
which is a nod to you two.
I don't
In our-
Radzinsky would like you two, to be honest, but...
Yeah, we had our game of who the Dharma Initiative would like and who would they hate. And, like, every single time it was Radzinsky would hate this. Except for the mamas and the papas.
Well, he must like them because, I mean, presumably he moved his records from the Flame to the Swan, also known as the Hatch.
Mm-hmm.
And, we all know about the record collection in the Hatch, right? So yeah, so there's just lots of, like, kind of intriguing things about Radzinsky. His obsession with the Swan, kind of trying to get a better understanding of, like, what he's all about.
Definitely.
He's definitely a violent person. Like, violence is the first solution.
Yes, because when Saeed comes in and
Yeah.
infiltrates, he's like, we have to kill them.
He
We
just
can
wants to
end
kill
this
him right
right
off the
now.
bat. And why?
Well, because he thinks he saw the model.
Yeah, so do it.
I told you he saw the model.
Yeah.
See, like, that's what I always do whenever I say I told you.
Yeah.
I told you.
See, for me, it's all, I always think, I told you to take his staff. But Annie, yeah, that's...
That's the one ingrained in my brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Engraved. Okay, another example of him being, like, just way too violent is when, like, Daniel Faraday is, like, they're trying to... Well, okay, but, like, they're not really in the wrong for being upset that they're, trying to cross the border to the hospitals. Like,
Well, here's
they have
the thing.
every right to be upset about that, except for that Radzinsky has been in hostile territory.
Well, isn't the Swan in hostile territory? And that's kind of part of the secrecy, and that's why he doesn't want, believing that Saeed is a hostile, he doesn't want them to know that they're building this underground station And it's sort of like they have this truce, they have this agreement, this is your
But they don't
area,
seem to obey it.
No, they don't.
So I don't like that. But, you know, it is fair that, like, these new recruits who already have been, like, stirring up trouble are, you know, trying to cross the border with guns.
Yeah.
So they start shooting, and then Radzinsky actually does get shot in the hand.
Yeah, good job, Daniel. We're kind of, like, upset at Radzinsky for shooting at poor Daniel, but...
Poor baby Daniel.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to shoot a gun.
He's just, like, so different. I don't...
But yeah, he gets shot right in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this would be a good time for our What's Up With That segment.
It's like, what's up with that?
And so, Annie, what is our What's Up With That this week?
I don't remember.
Okay, so we talked about the early mentions of Radzinsky mainly come from Desmond's reports of Calvin.
Right.
But then, in Annie's very favorite episode...
The Man Behind the Curtain, there is a mention to Radzinsky, and, like, it's really hard to hear in the actual episode.
So you have to use the subtitles.
But in the original script, it does say that. Or I'm not even sure if it is in the real one, but...
Oh.
It might be. But in the original script...
I think it is. I think I saw it on the subtitles.
Roger says, I mean, you know the scene, Ben's supposed to be getting to bed, and Roger's just crashing out at Horace for the attack that happened from the hostels earlier that day. And he's yelling about, like, I'm coming, or is it, like, we're coming back from the flame, and the Radzinsky kid almost got shot, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he could have been killed. What Radzinsky kid?
Yeah, who is...
Like, Radzinsky is probably older than Roger, if
Yeah.
not the same age.
So it's interesting because there were these previous mentions of Radzinsky, they thought they'd throw his name in there, but maybe like originally the character was intended to be younger.
Well, that didn't work
But
out.
he's not a kid. And then, you know, we like to sort of speculate, like, well, who could it be? Like, what if Annie is, you know, the Radzinsky kid?
Or, like, if he has a kid.
Or if he has
but
a kid.
I don't like that idea because no, it's just not, it doesn't work.
And I mean, he clearly lives alone. We discussed the, you know, pretty blonde lady that he's sitting next to on the couch. Like, what's going on there?
Like it's nothing.
Probably
She's
nothing.
Probably just sitting there.
She just had the misfortune of sitting next to Radzinsky, and he's taking up the whole other half of the couch. But yeah, so that's kind of an odd thing. Another sort of controversy or burning question about Radzinsky is, like, some people believe that Leonard, you know, who that's where Hurley learns the numbers from. There's that guy Leonard at Santa Rosa who's like always, what is that game, like Plinko or
no, Connect Four.
Connect Four. and he just, that's what he does on a loop, right? And he's always saying the numbers. So some people actually think that that's Radzinsky.
Because there's some sort of physical
we don't agree with that, though.
Or, like, we don't know if we agree with
well, because, like,
or
in
not.
Hurley's first flashback episode, they sort of explain, what is it again? What did they say about...
Well, I don't know. Like, that he's heard them before. I don't even know if it gives us a clear answer.
Well, because Hurley goes looking for... That might even be why he's in Australia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is he's trying to find out where the numbers came from because they're bad luck for him. And he borrowed them sort of from this Leonard character, so he wants to get to the bottom of it. And so there's some kind of convoluted story about, you know, it was on a radio transmission, I think, where the numbers were on a loop. But there's also some speculation, and I like this theory better, that maybe at some point Leonard was manning the Swan station. Mm-hmm. Because as you recall, you need to have, after the incident, you need to have two Dharma Initiative members kind of working, you know, together.
So, like, with that logic, let's just be hypothetical here.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you leave the island, something happens to your brain, or like the Dharma Initiative.
Seems to be, yeah.
So, if that's what happened to, you know, Leonard, then there is a possibility that, Libby was on the island, was maybe even Annie in the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah.
Because why else is she in?
No, because of just the grief of losing her husband.
It's a good theory, but
Yeah. But okay, think of it this way. So whatever the plans were for the Swan originally, we don't know. But after the incident, the purpose of the Swan is to basically, push the button to kind of, I don't know, it's like sort of releasing the energy, like so that it doesn't build up and explode. So that has to happen every 108 minutes. So there must have been another partner for Radzinsky, because let's just assume that Radzinsky starts manning the Swan Station immediately after the incident. We know he doesn't appear to get injured in the incident. And then we have the purge in 1993. And yet, it's still operating. And Calvin, because we see Calvin in a Saeed flashback, we know, Calvin came to the island fairly recently, right? Because he interacted with Saeed, during the Gulf War. So probably Calvin shows up sometime after the purge. So then Radzinsky must have had a partner after the purge that somehow gets to go and somehow leaves the island, right? Because for whatever reason, the hostels, who become like the others, they allow the Swan to continue to operate, even though it's a Dharma station, even though they know that Radzinsky...
And we think it's just because, Ben would know that it needs to stay.
Yeah,
running.
or they're not going to take the chance, right? They're like, well, okay, whether this button has to be pushed or not, let's just go with it. And I mean, Ben would know about the incident, and anyone who survived would kind of be aware of it.
Well, would he, though? I mean, I guess he would, because but...
After the fact, maybe. So I think it's a good theory that, maybe Leonard was Radzinsky's partner, and then, maybe it was Calvin that actually relieved him, and then somehow he gets off the island and ends up in that mental institution. But, yeah, kind of interesting.
It's a good theory.
It's kind of fun to think about Radzinsky pushing the button, hey?
He would love that.
He would
Another,
be, very
nod
obsessive.
that they have to Radzinsky being in the Swan is when they're having that, iconic meeting. Sawyer says, "Why are we on your clock, Radzinsky?" So, which is interesting because, eventually the world would be on his clock.
Yeah. And yet there is really, we talk about, the fate of Radzinsky is rather a sad and surprising one, because we do learn eventually he shoots himself and dies in the beloved Swan. So just what a cruel irony that, all he cared about and everything that he sacrificed and did in the name of the Swan, he can't stand being there.
Some people think that Calvin killed him.
Yeah, maybe, because I do find it hard to believe. Radzinsky's such a fighter, that he would just give up, but...
Yeah.
And we don't see Radzinsky in the Sideways either, which is kind of unfortunate, but...
So, that also might mean underwater.
Yes, it could mean that too. So let's talk a little bit about the actor who plays Radzinsky. His name is Eric, I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name, Lange, maybe?
I don't know. But I was actually familiar with this actor, which was really rare for the first time watching Lost, because he's actually the teacher in Victorious, who I love. I love his character as Psychowitz. Weird name again.
Yeah.
What's his first name? I don't remember.
And he's unique on that show
Erwin
too.
Psychowitz.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he is kind of a hippie.
Well, he's got a penchant for scarves
and kind of looking homeless.
So what subject does he teach?
Art.
Yeah, okay.
Drama.
So yeah, he's got kind of a flair for the arts.
Mm-hmm. He's a very fun character.
So for anyone that doesn't know what Victorious is, do you want to just...
It's just this Nickelodeon kids TV show about a art high school. And I really loved
Like
it when I was a little
in
kid.
LA,
Yeah,
right?
in
So-
Hollywood.
Yeah, right. And who's in it that people might know?
Well, Radzinsky. No, Ariana Grande.
Yeah, so that's kind of the...
She's the big star. Well, she's not actually the main character, but that's kind of her debut.
Yeah, like at the time she was very much a secondary character, and it was Victoria Justice, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Who was really the lead. But now, like with Wicked and all her
music.
and appearances on SNL, like, yeah, Ariana Grande is a huge
Skyrocketed.
star. Yeah. So he would, have known her and have
Yeah.
some kind of backstory with her. So
Yeah, so Victorious came after, though.
it was after Lost. Interesting. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just 2 examples of like really good character actors who, once again, make the most of their opportunity on Lost. Eric Lang also appeared in the Getting Lost documentary and looks like really good, actually. As far as Radzinsky goes.
They all look kind of frozen in time.
Yeah. As opposed to, so I think we've shared previously that one of the games we like to play is Annie will send me a picture of a cast member, and I have to guess who it is. And
you did not get that one.
I was pretty stumped by the Radzinsky one.
Well, because I tricked you. I was being tricksy. Because I was doing all the criminal intent ones, and then I snuck him in.
Yeah, and I just, from looking at this picture, like, I still don't know how that's him. Like, I guess it is, but
It's like a high school photo.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Because it
He
looks
looks
like,
very.
but it looks like it's at some kind of bandstand. Like, anyway,
I don't know.
it was Radzinsky. So we've developed kind of a little like joke
Not even a joke, just like a love.
that we love Radzinsky because I don't know, he's just so funny, and it's just so funny how he gets really mad. Also, like me, Radzinsky has a Jeep, like a blue Jeep.
Yes, that's
So-
really the only. No, it's not even the reason that we got a blue Jeep. It was
No,
just
it was
a
after the
coincidence.
fact. It just turned out very fortuitously when we saw the Dharma Jeep. I was like, hey.
So
it's not
then
the
we
right
got the
color,
sticker
but-
and we put it right on. I got it right perfect, like just right where it is in the show.
Yeah.
Shawna was going to put it on the front of the car.
No.
Yes, you were.
Well, anyway, I will agree that it just, now I've got my very own Dharma Jeep, and
Mhm.
no one's ever commented on my Dharma sticker, but
We probably look like we're in a cult, or like Trekkies or something.
yeah,
But
so be it, right?
yeah, we're just too niche.
Too niched. Yep, that's how it goes. So I believe we are just about ready for our hot take,
Mm-hmm.
and the hot take is...
I forget. Is it just my bad one, or did we come up with a better one?
there's 2 competing hot takes. So the one was a familiar refrain, justice for Radzinsky.
Justice for Radzinsky.
But counterpoint, everything.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Everything.
Everything is Radzinsky's fault.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I agree with that, but like,
but let's hear
It might be.
the case for everything.
well, so Saeed gets caught, right? Radzinsky's just really on him, just like not letting him out of his sight for like a second. But if he wasn't, Jin would be able to like
yeah,
sneak
like
him
imagine
in.
like when Jin finds Saeed and he's all happy to see him. Just imagine how things could have been different if Radzinsky wasn't there, and if he wasn't like, who is that? Oh, like, and just immediately wanting to take him prisoner
Yeah.
and kill him. And that's like the whole problem, right? The problem of Saeed, that no one knows what to do with him. They can't account for his presence being there.
I'm just going to interrupt. Another thing that we should mention is the power struggle between Radzinsky and Horace. Because Radzinsky is just like always trying to take things into his own hands
Yes.
and like do something dramatic, but then
But with
Horace is
terrible
like-
consequences.
Horace is like, Radzinsky, cool it.
And not only is there a power struggle between Radzinsky and Horace, but Radzinsky and Dr. Marvin Candle, right?
Mhm.
You know, that like Dr. Marvin Candle is kind of like, okay, maybe we need to put on the brakes here. Like, look at, people are dying. This magnetism is maybe out of our control. But like, Radzinsky doesn't even hesitate. It's just full, like, going forward,
Yeah.
like full speed.
He's just obsessed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just thought we'd mention that. But, yeah, and then another thing is, that's really the only reason why, Ben got shot.
Yeah.
Because Ben had this plan to break him out and escape with him. So Saeed used that as an opportunity to get out, and, it results in shooting him, which leads to, Ben's bleeding out. Something needs to be done about it, and then they have to take him to the hostels.
Yeah.
Miles doesn't.
Yeah, take the security
Because he has to go to Radzinsky to deliver the package.
Yeah.
And then Sawyer and Juliet, their secret gets revealed. That's what happened.
And who shows up?
Radzinski.
So again, it's sort of like
Yeah, and then he is responsible for really causing the incident.
Absolutely.
For starting the magnet thingy, for all that stuff. So
he just won't listen.
So thanks a lot, Radzinski.
So I mean, Radzinsky was wrong. Like, he was wrong about the swan. So in a way, it's all Radzinsky's fault. But then in another way, it's kind of that, destiny rules. Whatever happened, happened.
Yeah.
And yet, we still love Radzinsky.
We still love Radzinski. Justice for Radzinski.
Absolutely. So that has been the sad tale.
The Dharma Initiative.
The Dharma Initiative. I don't
Not
really...
Oldham. We didn't talk about Oldham yet.
I know, but I can't see having a podcast that's longer than the scenes the character appears in. I think that's got to be a rule. So as sad as we are,
I love them.
as sad as we are to leave behind the Dharma Initiative, I think that's it. So any final words about the Dharma Initiative, Jen?
Live, laugh, the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah. And yet, really, Annie often says in her heart she's an other. Which is like
I'm both.
Arch
I'm
Emmerich
both.
of
I would just, kind of, not like Ben, I would like both of them. So, yeah.
Kind of like Juliet.
Kind of like Juliet, maybe.
Because she was, fully participating in the world of the others. And really loved the Dharma Initiative.
That's me.
Yeah.
And so
that's the end of today. We're still trying to figure out, what's coming up next.
How the podcasts are going to go.
Do we give Nikki and Paolo their own episode?
Put it in the comments.
What do you think that we should do a whole episode on?
Oldham?
No.
Alana. Nope. That's not the one.
No.
Look, now we're going to run out of time. I was trying to wrap things up.
Eloise
and Widmore.
And Widmore. Do they get, we've talked about them so much already. So these are the tough decisions that we have to make. But stay tuned, because there is more to come. And so Merry Christmas. Namaste.
And see you in another life.